Welcome to the fields at Southern Virginia University, where the Southern Virginia Knights will take on the Eastern Mennonite College men's soccer team. I'm joined today by Sam Horman, who used to play for the men's soccer team. Now he's moved on to the football team, going to be place kicker for them. Starting lineups for tonight's game. First for Eastern Mennonite, number 1, Matthew Overker. Number 6, Emmanuel Bohama. Number 7, Juan Luna. Number 9, Dylan Poley. Number 10, Dominic Powers. Number 13, Nick Tucker. Number 14, Hunter Sampson. Number 16, Ryan Thomas. Number 24, David Obor. Number 26, Dave Drafton. And number 30, Carlos Flores Melger. Now, starting for the Knights. In goal, number 32, Carol Keenan. Number 3, Nick Francis. Number 4, Bailey Larson. Number 5, Matt Deedy. Number 6, Jackson Farnsworth. Number 7, Tyler McElwee. Number 9, Marriott Weeks. Number 10, Gabriel Ramirez. Number 15, Carlos Munoz. Number 16, Aldis Simmons. And number 18, Brandon Zapata. Well, Sam, a lot of new faces on the men's soccer team. What do you think we should expect to see in the first few minutes of the game?
I think what's going to be the most important is how they possess the ball. I mean, they do have a lot of new faces this year. They got a lot of new players, and so the possession stat is really going to show how well they work together, because they may be really talented, but the possession is going to show whether they can work together or not. So I think that's going to be the biggest thing bringing in all these new players is, can they possess the ball? Can they move it forward as a team and get those team goals? I think that's what's really going to show.
I agree with you 100%. The Knights are coming off a year where they were 1-17. A lot of close games, a lot of games that could have gone either way in the final seconds.
Definitely.
Eastern Mennonite comes off a season 6-12-2. But again, every time you start a new season, you can throw out the records from the previous years. So again, like you said, Sam, possession is going to be huge for the Knights. We're going to see how they work together. Being the first game, though, a lot of nerves, a lot of adrenaline. We may see ragged play the first few minutes by both teams.
Yeah, I think it'll take them a few minutes to settle in and figure out, how comfortable they are with each other. Even with their scrimmage Saturday, they're still going to be just fresh coming together. And so, I mean, their lineup's going to be different. It's just going to be a different game. So I think they'll take the first 5 minutes. There will be a little bit of kickball, and then they'll settle down, get their formations, get where they're going, and figure out who's dangerous. So I think after the first 5, we'll really see some good soccer come together.
Well, hopefully nothing drastic happens in the first 5 minutes where the Knights fall behind. Now, it would be too bad from our perspective if the Monarchs fall behind.
That would be all right.
Quickly. But like we saw in the women's game, the first 5 minutes, very ragged play just because of nerves and adrenaline. And then the women settled down, beat Sweetbriar Vixens 10-0. I don't know if we can expect the same thing from the men's game.
I think it'll be a very different game. I don't think we'll have that many goals, but we'll see.
Well, again, an exciting time every year when we start over. Broadcasting and seeing the new teams, always an exciting time for us and hopefully for you two out there listening and tuning in. The Monarchs will start with the ball for the kickoff. And we'll get to see the 2016 edition of the Knights in just a few seconds. We've had some technical difficulties. Our crack staff has been working on it, but as you see at the bottom, the clock is stuck on 23:59 and has been since the women's game.
Oh, there we go. And it started, so
right.
we are working with that now. Always nice.
Monarchs with the ball, playing it back and then going forward long and deep.
That's a tough ball to get a 40-yard pass in there, but
we're going to have a throw-in for the Knights. That'll be number 3 for the Knights. Nick Francis throwing it in. Now, I'll ask you the same thing as I asked Brennan Hand. just from my perspective, and I know nothing about soccer. I'm glad that you're here. You lend a great expertise to us. Why does it seem to be when the layperson, me, watching the game on a throw-in, that the person throwing it in for the majority of the time throws it to the person that's guarded by 3 defenders?
You know, I think that is definitely something that can be addressed very easily. I was coaching a team this summer, and I told them it takes a simple run. I mean, it doesn't have to be a complicated play. It doesn't have to be – I mean, if you have 2 people run past each other, one towards the ball, one away, it just becomes harder to defend. And it just takes a smart thrower, because sometimes they just get impatient, and sometimes you just want to get it in play. And so you just throw it to whoever's closest, even if they have a guy on their back. And as long as you can retain possession, sometimes that's okay. But, you know, there is times where you feel like it's just thrown away. And so I'm interested to see how they'll, you know, and that also comes from team chemistry. So I'm interested to see how that'll play out.
Well, as you know, preseason, you try to get that chemistry, but as you get into practices, you start to understand what the person across from you can do. And so you really don't have a great amount of increase in skill at that point. When you get into games, now we're going to really start seeing the learning curve really be steep. So far, the Monarchs have been able to possess the ball around the midfield mark. No real attacks by either team.
Yeah, they're having some good possession around the midline, though, and that's okay because that'll build out. You want to build out from the back, and so they'll be fine if they can just hold that there. But now SVU's starting to string together a couple.
And we'll begin to see throughout the next few minutes what the philosophy on attack will be. We saw some teams last year that came into play that were very ball control and possessive, and then we saw some teams that came in and said, you know what, we're just going to kick it over the top as far as we can, and we'll let so-and-so try to run and get it.
And if you have a really fast striker, sometimes that can work, but by and large, that's not a great strategy. So I'm interested to see how the offensive philosophy will work out. They definitely are staying down on this end of the field, though. I mean, it hasn't gone over to the right side too much on the far side of the field.
Well, and as you said before, and we mentioned, there's a lot of new faces out there. We can look down the roster now, and especially those that are out on the field, and see we have Keenan Carroll back from last year.
Another returner.
And then we have Munoz.
Carlos Munoz is
and
back.
Ramirez,
Nick Francis.
Weeks, Nick Francis. But then we get into a lot of new players.
We do.
You know, and that chemistry, you can't get that chemistry in a week and a half.
No, it takes a lot of time. And then, I mean, we have Merritt, who was gone for 2 years on his mission and now is returning, but it's a whole new set of players. So he played with a couple of these people, but, I mean, he's still got to adjust to all the new faces and new positions.
Well, they receive number 26, Dave Drafton, taking the ball down. The Monarchs center it to the middle of the field. Great job by the defense, so getting back and kind
Carlos staying nice and tight on him.
Stopping them now. You know, and Carlos Munoz back for his senior season. You know, what can we expect from him? Because we've seen him play a couple roles: goal scorer, distributor.
He's always been an anchor for SVU and the team and the program itself. He definitely brings some leadership to the team, and a lot of the players can look up to him. He knows the system, and so it was great to have him on the team. And you know, he's obviously a great player. He's a very technical player, and he does not like to get beat. So when he does, because it can happen, he will work to get the ball back. And so, I mean, as long as their conditioning has been good, and I believe that it has, then I think they'll all compete pretty well.
We had the first foul on the Monarchs. Free kick for the Knights now. Plays it short.
Looking up line. Out of bounds on the far side.
Bailey Larson down on the far side. Couldn't control the pass. And again, we're still within that first 5-minute mark, and not a lot of possession by either team in an attack area. But like you said, midfield, they're playing
here's a
there.
shot. Oh, that's a pretty good shot, actually.
That was a great shot by Carlos.
He caught the goalie a little bit. I wouldn't have expected him to shoot it that quickly, and so I don't think the goalie did, but he managed to get to it. Very well placed, though.
Maybe if he could have played it a little bit closer to the near goal post instead of the far goal post.
I think if he'd have been 10 yards up, that would have gone in for sure. But, I mean, That's not too bad.
Well, both teams, again, trying to test each other out, and it looks like the filling out part might be done now as we're seeing some attacks being mounted a little bit clearer now.
We're definitely seeing some more physical play on both teams. They're getting after each other with shoulders and hits, and we're definitely going to have a physical game coming.
Well, I don't know if that favors one team or the other. I know as a soccer player, you're going to play to the physicalness that the referees allow.
Right, as long as they don't call it.
Now, there's
one. Oh, no call. All right.
Wow.
We can. Okay.
Ramirez is able to get back up from that.
And kept possession, which was very impressive.
Nice control by the Knights.
Finding
Francis going down the far sideline, near sideline, excuse me. Good tackle. Slows the Monarchs down. Throw in for the Monarchs. And I was going to ask, do you think a physical game will help or hinder the Knights? Now, I know there's a lot of new people, but
there is. And I do think, though, they can be just as physical. It won't hurt them at all. They can keep their heads in the game. And that's something that Coach Patino really tries to instill in his players is, as long as you can still play at your tempo, it doesn't matter what the other team's doing. So they can hit you, they can push you, they can pull you, but you can too. And you'll see a lot of jersey pulling going on. That's going to happen all game.
Well,
and even there.
And what we
we got a little tussle.
Yeah, and what we hope is that it doesn't start to affect you negatively, right?
Right.
Where you're thinking more about the player than you are the game.
Right. And as long as they keep their heads in, that's just a mental thing.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with talent or anything. So that's just to get in their heads. So as long as they can keep that, it shouldn't affect them.
And I, we don't have anything to compare to it except for last year.
Right.
Right. And I know that in broadcasting your games last year that in the first half, y'all were great. In the second half, it seems like once you started to get a little bit tired because you didn't have as many subs as some of the other teams did.
Yeah.
And it seemed like when you started to get tired a little bit, that started to affect your team a little bit more.
It definitely, when you can have a second wave come in that's just as strong as your first, it helps everybody. That was a bit of a rough slide tackle, I think. If he'd have gone with his right foot, he might have been okay, but he led cleats up with his left, and so they're going to call that for sure.
So a free kick now for the Monarchs. See what type of set piece they have. They're about, 25, 30 yards away from the goal.
Yeah, that's a pretty dangerous position because you just got to put that a little bit close to the goal, and then someone just gets a head on it and redirects it a little bit, and that's in the back of the net. So that's a dangerous free kick if they take it well.
And we saw in the girls' game a couple of deflections from the goalie, and the young ladies from the Knights were right there on top of it, and that's all it takes is
across.
One, right?
That is a shot.
Oh!
Yep.
And that's a direct shot.
That's
not even.
it.
And what a rocket by Eastern Mennonite.
Put it right over the wall. Just went near post, it looked like, and that's 1-0.
Number 7, Juan Luna, junior from Mount Jackson, Virginia. And like you said, a dangerous position.
It is. It's very hard to cover, especially if your wall doesn't have the height that you really need. He'll just put it right over as he just did, and so.
And then being able to curve it just enough to get it out of Keenan's reach.
That's very difficult to see, too, for the goalie. And they have so little time that when it's that close, it's a guessing game to an extent, but that was just a well-placed shot.
Well, 10 minutes into the first half, Knights find themselves down 1-0 by a huge shot by Juan Luna. No assist, just a free kick there.
Yeah, and it's not something that you really want to give up. Obviously, you never want to get scored on, but within that early in the game, now you're playing catch up the rest of the game, and that can be just as tiring.
And it really depends on the tactics of the other team, right?
It really does.
If Eastern Mennonite keeps attacking, maybe that plays into the hands of the Knights. But now if they're just looking for a possession game, and try to make the Knights run a little bit more. Now, like you said,
Yeah.
it could be much more tiring because you're always chasing.
Yeah, and it seems they figured out that far side favors them, so they seem to be coming down that side a little bit more often.
Well, and in your opinion, Sam, do soccer teams find a side that they like to attack from? And,
They do. They do,
depend on
definitely.
that?
It definitely. You'll have, I mean, a player on one side that just, I mean, all your players are going to be different, but when you have a wing on one side, maybe he's just faster. You have a wing on one side that's more technical. It does affect how you come down, because some kids will just get it and they can cover 40 yards without running into anyone. And so I think their wings do seem to be getting up and down the line pretty well, but they are definitely favoring that far side.
Well, as a defender, let me ask you this: if you scout a team and you know that they favor one side, is it easier to defend against that, or is it easier to defend against a team that may not have a side that they like, but they switch fields on you multiple times?
It's always great to know who their one good player is, or who their couple good players are. Ooh, yeah, that was a little bit of a
little
foul
physical
there, yeah.
right? Running
He
through
just
the.
didn't quite get to the ball. Definitely the SVU defense got to that ball first, but you got to still try to make a play, I guess. Yeah, anytime you know they're strong players, it definitely helps, because you can prevent them from getting the ball. And so it prevents them from playing to their advantages. And so they have to develop something new. And so anytime you know they have one side that's better, you can prevent that. And you can stack that side, or you can just stay in better position, or you can switch your defenders or your mids to cover that particular person, and then they don't have one of their best weapons.
Well, we're gonna see hopefully pretty soon what type of corner set pieces the Knights have. I know last year, seeing you come down from the defense into the middle looking for a couple of headers. What a great weapon that you were.
It was always great, and that's the team part. Is me and Carlos could talk about that, and we wouldn't call a play a lot of times. We could just talk, and that we would know, it was just a look, and I'd stand right on the near post, and he could just get it to me, and then you have to defend that. And so it affected the gameplay, because everyone would go near post, but then we had some great players that could cover the far post. We would usually have like a Court Cox or someone come running in, and he could jump up and get a great head on it. So it does affect the game, and as long as everybody else knows that, it can play to your advantage so well. And so I'm definitely interested to see what they've drawn up on the practice field as far as free kicks and corners and any type of set piece.
Well, do you as a soccer player, or you said you coached some this year, right?
I did, yes.
Sometime. Do you practice on trying to draw corner kicks?
You can, to an extent. There's definitely
nice
good save by Keenan.
Rebound goes far sideline
and they
cleared out. Nice job. Nice long clear.
Now they can just try to reset before. Oh, here we go. And he finds Merritt
Great
up the
job.
wing.
McElwee to Merritt. Back to McElwee.
Looking for a drop.
Nice, trying to build now.
Hopefully he finds someone in the center, and
looks like there'll be a corner kick for the Knights. Just what we've been talking about.
There we
now
go.
let's see what
they've drawn up.
This should be interesting. Substitution coming in. Maybe not.
So now it looks like they're stacking the goal line here. They definitely are putting players on the goalie and the back post.
Kick goes a little bit longer than what they'd want,
that's
right?
a hard header for anyone. If you're running backwards, you're not going to get too much power moving that ball forward, unfortunately. But here's a great cross back in.
Oh, nice flick.
Finds someone in the center, and he's looking.
Looks like that
now the counterattack begins. There you go.
Nice job by Francis, able to stop that counterattack. Well, what kind of confidence does the early lead give you as a team?
It inspires you, because you feel like, you're definitely going to be better than whoever you're playing. And so whether or not you are, you feel that way. And when you play that way, it definitely it helps you score later on, and it affects the other team as well because they know they're down, and they may not feel like they're worse, but they definitely know they got to try harder now. So it just gives you all that extra momentum, and that's soccer, is trying to keep that momentum and push forward.
Saw the Knights
Now
trying to
substitution.
try to get in there quickly as we see number 8 for the Knights, Austin Bueno, come in.
And Nick Francis was doing a pretty good job back there for the Knights, getting up and down the field and keeping the possession for most of the possessions he had.
You know, and we're going to see probably a lot of substitutions. It's not extremely hot. It's not the 90-plus degrees
Definitely
hot that
not.
we've seen, but even though the sun's gone down, humidity is way up there.
Always gets to you.
And so it's that'll drain you faster than just being out in the sun. So again, we'll hopefully see a lot of substitutions so they can stay hydrated.
Sure. Yeah, and early in the season, you know, you want to get your players playing time, but you also want to recognize that, you know, there's other risks, there's the factors of injury, and, you know, they're still getting used to it, and sometimes they'll take some hits that, you know, just build up on the year, and so I think we'll see some substitutions.
Well, there we saw the Monarchs go from near sideline to far sideline, back to near sideline, trying to stretch out the defense of the Knights. Knights did a pretty good job, though, recovering.
Oh.
Nice.
It's a dangerous.
Oh, nice hip
See,
check.
now that's a legal hit, because if they're if they're equal, they hit shoulders, then it can be legal. Even if one hits a lot harder than the other, you can have legal hits that are right in there.
So, Sam, better to give than receive, right?
It is definitely. You got to come in just as hard, but yeah, I guess
so
they'll call that back.
Really important to get into the weight room then, right?
It definitely is. The shoulder game is one that, if you're not winning, you just pull their jersey a lot of times, and that makes up for some of it.
And what I'm impressed with so far is in the women's game, we saw 0 flops. So far in the men's game, 0 flops.
I think we're definitely. Well, and that takes some work too. I mean, you can't practice that, but it does. Some kids are really good at it, and some just aren't. But I don't know how much of it we'll see. We'll probably see at least a couple, though.
Well, we're seeing the Monarchs really work on possession. If we had access to possession time right now, the Monarchs would be winning that battle.
I would say so, yeah. Even though they're getting some long balls from their goalie. He's got a great foot, but they're definitely playing those all the way up to their, well, it looks like left striker, left wing, and
nice tackle.
Oh, great counter. If they can find a pass here. Oh.
Getting through the middle.
He was close. Now he's got to find someone.
Knights trying to build, going down the near sideline.
And they can have one from there if they can get a clean shot, but they're definitely having a hard time getting that shot off.
Throw in for the Knights, and, you know, goes back to your defensive communication.
That's definitely the biggest thing, is you got to know where everybody else is on the field, because you may not have the best shot, but someone else will, and so you got to find whoever that is.
Knights still with possession. Well, that's one thing that we need to work at as a whole athletic community is continuity.
Mm-hmm.
Too many times we have not enough people return to the teams, and so you can't really get that continuity, because you know if you play beside someone for 4 years, you get, like you said, you play with Carlos for a number of years, and it's just looks.
You get better and better, and yeah, absolutely. There's definitely, I mean, that's the team element of this, is that the longer you play with them, the better you understand how they play, what they're really good at, what they like to do, and you know, and then you can help them do those things as well.
Nice ball over the top. Weeks working for possession.
Kept it in. Great spin on that.
Nice job of getting the ball out of bounds. There we see number 5, Matt Deedy, one of the captains this year. Matthew Dryden in. for the throw in. Matthew, the nephew of our women's tennis coach, Deidre Dryden.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew's been overseas. His dad works overseas. Been overseas for the past couple years. Sure picked up a few pointers over in Asia.
The international game is very different, definitely. Anytime you go abroad and see how they play, it's a different style. And you can see that in the professional leagues as well. They definitely, every country will have a very different style, so that can actually benefit the team a lot.
Bueno going to take the free kick for the Knights. Now, being this far out, he's at the 35-yard line, but it's more than
So
that
that's
because
a
you're off center.
45, yeah.
That's I wouldn't expect for him to go for the goal.
Yeah, he's not going to shoot this. He'll lob it in and try to find someone running in, and they can just push it into the goal basically. But that's right to the goalie.
And goalkeeper's able to come off his line, do a great job. That's Matthew Overker.
Looks like they do have some defenders going up for those, though. That's the best part about defense, is playing offense sometimes. Oh, and that's a hard – anytime the defender waits that long and then passes it to the goalie, I've definitely seen some things go wrong there, and I've definitely done it a couple times. But that's the communication thing, is you got to know, is he going to pass it or is the goalie going to pick it up? And sometimes it's hard to tell because you can't tell if it's going to roll all the way, but that's the big difference. Is you got to know your goalie, and he's got to know his center back. And so he's got to know, if it's anywhere near here, I will shield it as long as I can for you to pick it up, or you got to clear it the minute you get it.
New subs coming in for the Knights now. We see number 12, Jaron Robledo. We'll have a few other substitutions that we'll get as soon as play starts. We have Anthony Bowden in for Merritt Weeks and Gabriel Dawson in for Tyler McElwee. So, Coach Patino, subs early now and often, again, like you said, maybe trying to get a lot of people in, get some game experience, seeing what everybody can do, but also I'm sure some of the humidity has to do something with this substitution pattern.
This early in the season, it definitely affects you. And so you usually, they can go for 90 minutes if they need to, but it's definitely nice to get that break after 20, 25 minutes. And, once you get some fresh legs in, maybe it'll change the flow of the game. And so it'll hopefully result in some offense, I'm sure, is what he's going for.
Well, Eastern Mennonite countered with 3 substitutions of their own. Parker Leaps came in for Dave Drafton. Eric Peachy came in for Daniel Ober. And Curtis Blosser came in for Hunter Sampson. So both teams trying to make sure they keep enough fresh legs on there. Again, you don't want anybody to get hurt first game of the season.
Definitely
by
not.
Getting overexerted in heat or humidity like this. But also both coaches, I'm pretty sure, probably trying to do the best they can to see what they really have.
Right. They definitely are. And I think Eastern Mennonite definitely is going to get some fresh legs on because they know they could score with who they had, but they really, want to see what the rest of the team brings. And, hopefully every coach wants their second squad to be just as dangerous and valuable as their first, but I think both coaches are just making little adjustments so that you can get those little things in the game. Oh, and they gave that possession away right there, but hopefully they can just settle this. And
all right, it's looking to possess the ball now. Looks to go down the far sideline. Long pass down the far sideline. Played to the middle. Goalie's able to take care of it there with no problem. But again, as we've seen in the past, the more you can put pressure on a goalie, eventually
you'll get one in. Yeah, and I think that's just sometimes they're just more ready for it, and sometimes you can just sneak one past. And I think that's what happened with Keenan on that one, is he just couldn't see it probably that well. And it was a great shot. So I think that's how they got that first goal on the free kick.
The Monarchs are able to repossess the ball. Play it ahead to number 7, Juan Luna, who scored the goal for the Monarchs. Throw in now for the Knights. Looking to possess it. And again, not a lot of possession touches for either team. We see 2 or 3 passes and then give it up.
We haven't seen a great string of passes yet, which is what you want to see from your offense. And so I think while both teams are trying, then, you see that one run and you feel like, I got to get it to that guy. And so you try to get it to him, but either, your pass doesn't make it or something, the defense can affect it. But I think once we see a couple strings of passes where they really put it together, that's when the attack will happen. But it has been kind of 3 or 4, and then you lose it, and then a couple, and then you lose it. So I think both teams are kind of struggling to keep a ton of possession.
Well, there we saw Paxton Runningen come in for the first time. A lot of new players out there for the Knights. And
great slide there. And that's
you're the one that
times.
appreciates the defense, right?
I do definitely appreciate that kind of a slide tackle as well. And that's something that you can teach your players. If you can't find someone in the center, you're better off kicking it off the other guy and getting a corner, and now you can build an attack. But, I mean, I'm not sure how much he had in the center or how he could have gotten it there. So that's basically the best thing you can get out of that there.
Now we'll see some
low-driven. Ooh.
Nice job of trying to clear it out. Monarchs. And
Keenan.
Oh, yeah, that was close. Keenan, if he was a half a step slower coming off his line, there could have been some trouble there.
He'll go out and get those all day. So.
And he's a very strong goalkeeper.
I have run into him, and yes, you do not want to be the first guy to try to beat him to a ball.
And Overker for the Monarchs seems to be built in the same mold.
Definitely.
Not one of those skinny, lanky goalkeepers that I'm sure strikers like to see because, maybe I can, nudge
it depends. But, they got long arms and they can get to some other ones. And those are the type of goalies usually, you see in the Premier League or something. But, I mean, both teams are definitely using their goalies well, and they both have great legs and can land at 60 or 70 yards downfield, which is also nice.
Well, both of them very experienced, too. We have Carroll, who is a senior, Overker, a junior. Nice move by number 4, Parker Leap. Centers it, able to be kicked out momentarily.
Keenan gets a hand on it and just punches that out.
Nice job, and nice job of getting up quickly and getting back.
That was, he needed a hand on that one.
Quick restart by the Monarchs. Dangerous time now for the Knights as the Monarchs seem to find something in possession right now. We've seen about 4 or 5 passes strung together.
They definitely are working the ball around a lot more, and it seems like they've been more dangerous in the center of the field, which is what you want. The Knights are mostly attacking up and down the far side and near side, but they're not swinging it across the center too often, which is, it's a lot easier to work up and down the sidelines, but when you can control it in the center, that's when you can get some real offense put together.
Well, plus, if you push someone or know someone's going down the sidelines, you can almost cut the field in half, and defending only half a field is a whole lot easier than defending the whole field.
That's true.
Knights possessing the ball now, trying to keep it in their offensive end. A flick on, but it's going to go out of bounds. Throw in for the Monarchs. So with 16:30 left to go in the first half, Eastern Mennonite over the Knights 1-0. We apologize for the scoreboard on the screen not working. Our technical staff really working hard trying to get that fixed, and by next broadcast, I'm sure everything will be working great. There we see number 12, Joshua Chiquilo, coming in for the Monarchs. Knights with the ball. Throw in on the far sideline. Ball being possessed, and again, keeping it on one side has got to be an advantage for the defense.
Yeah, if you know they're just going to come up and down that one side, you can just defend their players that much easier, and then you can shut it down. Ooh, that can get dangerous. But he managed to get it and keep possession. They have a good attack here.
Shots, quick shot.
He just didn't get enough of that.
Looks like a huge trying on a counterattack now. 1-on-3 for the Monarchs. Ball played back to Carroll.
And that's what you want to see, because that can be just a release of pressure, and now there's no pressure on the defense. They maintain possession, and now you just work it back to your mids. There we go. Stringing a couple passes. And that's going to be hard to control out of the air. If they could keep that ball on the ground, then they can hold that possession a little more because he had a 1-on-3 up there.
Well, and great pace on the pass back to the goalkeeper, too. We've seen several times for and against us where lackadaisical passes back to the goalkeeper sometimes end up on the feet of the opponent, and then it's one-on-one with the goalkeeper. And you know,
great Meg there. That was, I hope that was on purpose because that was great.
Nice ball out of the air off the head of the Knights.
Another counterattack. Oh, that's a great pass if he can get that back in center. Nope.
Again,
Number
nice
30
job
got to that really well. That's exactly what you want because sometimes that striker doesn't know where the outside back is, and so if he can beat him around there and get the ball out there just like he did, that's a great play.
There's Bueno starting the ball quickly for the Knights. Play to the middle. Oh, and almost.
Oh. That was a
bouncing
hopeful cross.
over Overker, who is at 6'3". If it bounces over you at 6'3" when you're jumping, you know you misplayed it just a little bit.
And that was actually something they were working on in warm-ups too. Is that bounce going over? Yeah, that was a rough foul, but
well, and you know, no yellow card yet.
No, I don't think we'll see them, but I mean, it's definitely starting to get a little more physical. They can get a little chippy, and by this point, they know the other person's personality, so they'll start to get a couple of those.
Free kick about 40 yards away from the goal now. 40, 45 yards. Sends it into the middle. Off of the feet of the Monarch offensive player. Still a long shot wide to the left. Really not a lot of danger there.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to get a near post play in there, but I'm not sure if their players ran to the wrong spot or he hit it wrong, but they definitely didn't get that near post flick that they wanted.
There we see Alexander Dubé come in for the first time. Again, a lot of subs coming in, trying to make sure everybody stays fresh. About 12 and a half minutes left to go in the first half. EMU is up 1-0 on the Knights.
And the Knights electing to play it short on the goal kicks, which is, you can see their center backs on either side of the goal framing the goalie so that he always has that option. But they've been playing that short on those goal kicks, and that's an interesting decision.
And as the Knights try to attack, as they attack goal, it looks like they like to go down that, whatever the right sideline will be. Right now it's the far sideline from us. Second half, if they continue that play, it'll be our near sideline. But I'm sure that's something that the Eastern Mennonite coaches are noticing also.
Oh, yeah, and that's an unfortunate slide tackle because he went out for it with his right leg, but then he locked up the other leg of the attacker, and so they're going to call that for sure.
Foul on Simmons. Ball headed harmlessly into Keenan Carroll's arms.
Yeah, anytime he gets that close to the ground, if he can jump for that and get it, it'll be a lot more dangerous. And there's going to be another shot, but that would have been a decent field goal, but
that'll make it
that's not
going down towards 60. If it gets down there, they can just kiss that ball goodbye. It'll roll through town.
Let's see if they play it short here. Yep, another short pass.
And so what is the strategy behind that?
Sometimes it's just to keep possession of the ball. Sometimes if you don't have the distance on a goal kick that you'd really like to be able to land it at least up around the 50, around the half, or just beyond, then you can play it short like that. But I know Keenan definitely has the ability to get it that far, so it must be a tactical.
Maybe something they saw in Eastern Mennonite last year and trying to take advantage of it.
Maybe, because he can definitely put it well past where he needs to, and so they must just be trying to keep possession, which is definitely, I know Coach Patino is all about possession when you can, and so I'm sure that that's something they're going for, but it seems they're still getting disconnected between the defense and the midfield because he'll get that ball and walk up 10 yards, but then lose it when he plays a 20 or 30 yard ball over the top.
Nice step in by Bueno. Plays the ball.
That's
ahead.
the ball right there. That's the hard one.
And that looks like it's too far.
Yeah,
They
you want to
shorten
have
that
someone
pass,
closer.
right?
You definitely want to have someone closer than that so that, I mean, these right here, just right in there. I mean, that's 5 yards, maybe 10, but you get a couple of those passes, and that's when you really open up the defense.
Again, favoring that far sideline or the right side of the field.
And the very edge of it, they're just playing that right up the line. They got to work it back into the middle a little bit.
I mean, again, I'm a novice, but I've coached a lot of sports, and I know that if you can get the defense moving from side to side, that stretches it out, and then you have a lot more openings than you do if you let them stay stationary and in one angle.
I mean, in there, and a
big slide tackle.
He got the ball first though, so that's what keeps that legal. Even if he's definitely spent some time on the ground playing defense. You gotta respect
Bueno
that.
is all over the place. A bundle of energy for the Knights.
He's had some good slides in there though. He's going for the ball as long as he watches his cleats. Yeah, and you can see the refs having a word with him, letting him know that I'm sure that that's acceptable as long as you keep the cleats down and you watch the player after you hit. Because even if you get the ball first, if you completely take out the player, they'll still call it. See, and there's those kicks. We know he can land it where he needs to.
Again, not a lot of continuous possession for the Knights, and I'm sure that's probably something at halftime that the coaching staff will be talking to him
He'll
about.
definitely address it, and I think what they'll try to address is spacing and positioning for the players, because that's been their issue, is there's a gap between the defense and the midfield. Oh, and another slide tackle coming in there.
Now, these are the passes that I just don't think the Knights really need to make.
That's definitely not what they were after there. I mean, that's just a loss of possession.
Loss of possession, loss of time, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we're still in the first half, but under 8 minutes, don't you want to try to build something so you go into halftime with a good chance
with something extra? You definitely should, but they're just favoring that long ball down the side, and that's, I mean, it's clearly not really the greatest ball that they could play, so hopefully they can work it through the center with some quicker passes and not just the speed down the lines.
Well, optimally, Sam, how far away should the passer be to the receiver?
I mean, it depends on where you're going from, but usually, I mean, if you can keep 5 or 10 yards, that's going to be plenty. I mean, they can keep that there and work with that. See that pass there, up in the air, it's 15, 20 yards. It's going to be hard for him to do anything about that. Even that pass is 20, 30 yards up the field, but it's just hard to possess because everybody has the chance to react once it's up like that. But if it's a 5-yard pass and you and your guy know, hopefully only you can get to that. Ooh, that's
play on
definitely
there.
Starting to get a little more physical.
And I saw the referees before the game started, and I
miscommunication there.
I knew who was going to be the one out there in the middle. Oh, another dangerous shot.
That's.
And I've seen him referee some of your games before, and he lets a lot of things go.
Every ref has their style, and sometimes it does benefit to know beforehand if they're going to let you play or if you got to take it easy or what's going on. But it definitely, he's very comfortable letting slide tackles go, letting whatever happen.
Down. See Chad Mahaffey, our head trainer, go out, try to get a number of who that is that's down. I didn't see what happened.
I couldn't tell. There was definitely some contact, but I think he just probably hit a knee.
Alexander Droubet.
I think he just hit a knee with another player getting wrapped up.
Oh, and that.
Yeah.
That'll hurt for a little while.
It definitely, if you hit knees, man, that'll leave a bruise on you, but looks like he'll be okay. He's walking off all right.
Yeah, anytime you can go off under your own power, it's always nice to see.
Yeah, and with 6 minutes left, I think they'll just give him a little break until halftime, but I'm sure we'll see him in the second half.
So Christian Clement has come in for Droubet.
And another short kick. Now, what EMU is going to do is push him down into the corner there, and that's the ball you don't want to give up, is out of the corner there. But If you give possession back, then
throw into the Monarchs.
And there they work it into that center area again, and that's where it gets dangerous. But
nice job by Bueno to take the ball away.
see, he just doesn't have anyone. He was looking ahead, but he didn't have anybody. So that's when you play it laterally like that. You play that square ball.
And again, just not knowing each other.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing some passes that hopefully by the 3 or 4 games from now will be spot on.
They'll be connecting for sure then, but it's that first game. You got to figure out where everybody plays on the field and how fast they get up and down.
As we hit about the 5-minute mark, Sam, what has impressed you about the Knights, and then what would you like to see them really work on going into the second half?
They're competing. That's the best thing you want to see is you're playing, you're competing with them, and you're showing a lot of individual talent. All they need to do is that pass right there, they need to start connecting. If they're going to keep playing that, they need to take advantage of it because they lose possession on that just too often. And so they're competing. They're staying just as physical. I mean, we've seen some slide tackles. We've seen some hits. We've seen some pulls. We've seen a lot of things that they can get away with because the ref will let them play. But I think overall, EMU's just had more consistent play and more connected play. So I think that's what we can expect to hear about at halftime and expect to see from SVU in the second half.
Well, and you can talk about consistent and connected play, but until you get that game experience, there's not a lot you can do. And you can tell that EMU, a lot of players that are playing together for a long time, a lot of new faces for the Knights. And
it's the consistency that you really want to see, you know. I mean, 20, 30 guys on your roster returning, and yes, you'll lose some seniors, but SVU didn't really lose any seniors. They lost some players that for various reasons, but, I mean, it's the consistency is really hard to keep when your roster changes so much. And SVU has, a dangerous, great shot there.
Nice job by Keenan Carroll, able to just get a fingertip on it.
Just pushed it wide, and that's exactly what you want to do. Is just punch that out enough, get your hands on that.
There you can see Keenan talking to his defense, telling them exactly what he wants them to do.
You want to have your goalie and your center backs for sure, letting everyone on the field know what's going on. You definitely want to have them directing. And I know Keenan will definitely be telling people. You'll see him very vocal and using his hands. And well, that's a lofted ball. That's going to be hard. They're just going to want to clear that out. But
miss hit by the Knights, but right to Bueno, so it works out.
Yeah. That's that pass right there. If they can get to that. But now they still have the numbers down.
Gabriel Dawson able to track it down. Flicks it back now to number 20, Christian Clements. Tries to center it. Kicked out of bounds.
We'll have a throw in with 3 minutes left, just under 3 minutes. And this is another really beneficial thing is if you have a person that can throw it 20 or 30 yards, right around 30 is going to be great. It really affects it because a lot of people do expect it to be that short throw-in, just right to the nearest guy. But
ball's played into Clements as we saw Christian Rice come in for the first time. And
I think that was our first flop of the game. I couldn't tell if there was any contact there, but I believe that was our first flop.
Ball's in a dangerous place for the Knights to have it against the Monarchs.
Oh, yeah, that was not the pass he wanted on that one, but that's okay.
Now we're going to see a counterattack by the Monarchs. They're going down the far sideline. Nice job being able to get over and play the ball deep down the sideline. Able to keep it in is Bueno.
There, he's going to the center of the field, and that's, yeah, they're going to call that.
Should be a foul.
He's got to.
And you got to watch that now.
Now that's 2 for him, so the ref keeps track of those things, and he's already got a warning from his slide tackles. So if you push him, if he does anything the rest of the game, he'll definitely get a card just instantly. It doesn't even matter what it's for because they'll usually give you 2 or 3, but he's on his last.
Ball's hit it out, looking for a counterattack.
And this is and there's the jersey pull every time.
They're looking for a card on that jersey pull, but you know the referee's been letting them get away with it the whole game.
He's letting them play, and they're definitely taking full advantage of that. But this could, if they have some practice field stuff they've drawn up, this could be a dangerous free kick, because if you curl that to the far post, you can see they're stacking the far side there. Oh, and there we have our first card. Yeah, that's basically a goal scoring opportunity, and so that's why they'll give him a card there, is because it's just.
So do you think they'll try to curl it toward that back post and run someone in for a header?
I expect that they will, unless they've drawn something up on the practice field, but that's usually the traditional play there.
That yellow card went to Aldous Simmons of the Knights. We'll see how the Monarchs want to play this now.
They're definitely stacking the far post, so they're trying. And that, I don't believe, is the ball that he wanted on that.
It looked like it might have been a little miss-hit because it didn't have no spin on it whatsoever, right?
He spun that out to the right a little bit. That was basically a straight hit, and he was trying to curl that into the far post to get ahead on that.
You see Caleb Hoops come in for the first time. A minute to go in the first half. Southern Virginia trails the Monarchs 1-0, and again, just a wasted possession.
Yeah, he definitely, I could see who he was looking for there, but that's not, I mean, you got to find your guy. You got to find his feet. And that's what they'll tell you, and you pass to the feet. And that's those balls that they're playing in the air, out to the sides, those are just too hard, and so you got to play to feet.
So now we're in a dangerous position. Right on the other side of the field is where the Monarchs scored their first goal. Royals, sorry. Sorry, I've been calling the Monarchs. That's down in
the kick
North Carolina.
Oh, that is not the kick they want. See, that first one, because he's left-footed, he can swing that in, and they can get an easy head on that. And I think with 15 seconds left in the half, you'll just see him walk the clock out here, then maybe take an easy pass, but they won't attack that.
So I need to apologize to all the Eastern Mennonite fans. I've been calling them the Monarchs. That's another team down in North Carolina that has the same colors and religious affiliation as Eastern Mennonite, but it is the Royals, and they go into halftime with a 1-0 lead over Southern Virginia University. We've seen a few flashes of great play by the Knights, but just not being able to put and string things together.
They need to connect what they're doing. I think they're doing good things individually, but I think in the second half they'll look for a little more connection in their passes and just in their play, positioning and spacing as well.
Well, going into halftime now, the Royals lead the Knights 1-0 on a goal by Juan Luna from about 25 yards out, and a crack shot that got by Keenan Carroll, who I think they, like you said, caught him unaware. But the Knights do find themselves down here going in at halftime. Stay with us. We'll be back at the beginning of the second half in about 9 minutes. Thank you, and we'll talk to you in a few minutes. Welcome back to the field at Southern Virginia University. This is Mike Harmon along with Sam Horman, where the Knights trail EMU 1-0. We apologize for the scoreboard on the screen. There's some technical difficulties that couldn't be worked out right now, so we'll just keep you apprised of the score. But Juan Luna scored on a crack shot 25 yards away, snuck the ball past Keenan Carroll. I think he was looking for some type of set play, and Luna just blasted it past him.
Got it right in the near post.
So now we talked earlier about the Knights and what we hope that we see them do. More possession, stringing some passes together to get that possession. But we also noticed that they attack down the right sideline, whichever way they're going, and that kind of plays into the Royals defense as far as they can cut half the field and not let the Knights really get what they want.
Yeah, and that's what you saw from them in the first half, is that even if they attack down one side and get the ball down into the corner, they still usually find a way to either work it back in or get a decent angle for a shot. And I think that's just what we haven't seen from SVU yet, is either get that angle or get it into the center for a great shot if you can. But I think they'll know that, and they'll try to work on that this half.
Well, again, the Royals from EMU lead the Knights of Southern Virginia 1-0 on a shot by Juan Luna, a free kick 25 yards away to the near post, curved it in over the wall, got it past Keenan Carroll. Again, you said that you thought that maybe Keenan couldn't see right where it was at and didn't really react as we've seen him react.
Yeah, those are just hard because you put your wall near post so that you can cover the far post. So if you're challenging them, and if they're good enough, they can get it right up over that wall, and that's clearly what he did there. But, I mean, he played that as well as he could, but, I mean, that was just a great shot. So that's gonna be a hard one to block either way.
Well, the Knights will start with the ball. Starting for the Knights will be Keenan Carroll in goal, Nick Francis, Bailey Larson, Matt Deege, Jackson Farnworth, Tyler McElwee, Merritt Weeks, Gabriel Ramirez, Carlos
taking
Munoz,
that ball up,
and Aldis Simmons and Brandon Zapata. We'd like to see the Knights really possess the ball in this first part of the second half as much as possible, put some passes together, and really test the goalkeeper for Eastern Mennonite.
You can tell that SVU definitely talked about attack at halftime. Coach Patino, I'm sure, had things to say, and you can tell because they're pushing their numbers up. They're trying to get the ball and get players up.
Nice short passing by the Knights now. Little triangle passing formation.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot of contact there.
Just a common foul. Go over to the Royals.
He's going to get a warning for that, though, and the ref's going to remember that. He locked his leg up on his way down, and that's just not what you want to see from your players either. That's just poor because you know you got beat, and so you just take them down.
Long kick down the field.
Ooh. And he has time to settle that. I think that's just in his head. He's got to just bring that down and find a pass. He doesn't need to just kick that out like that.
Again, we're dealing with a lot of freshmen, and so maybe the perception of the speed of the game a little bit quicker than what they are used to.
It's going to be a lot faster than it was in high school. Even if some of them are transferring from different colleges or from wherever, but it's a different speed. And this conference just has a different speed. So.
Yeah, and when we get into conference play, the CAC, there's really no weak teams there. Everybody is going as far as can. Oh, nice play through, just a little bit too long. As we see Overkirk come out. Deep kick past midfield, possessed by the Royals. Taken away by the Knights. Throw in, and it's.
See, and that's that ball that SVU is playing there. That's going to be a tough ball for either team. Even if you have the faster wing, that center back's just going to see that coming from so long, from 20, 30 yards. He's getting to that ball first, hopefully.
Well, and if you can get the ball to the middle, you have so many more options.
Definitely.
Right? And if you have wings that'll run with you, we can see some great things. There we saw Munoz, it looks like, went down.
And he's going to stand right in front of that. That's a great soccer tactic. Is any free kick, you just stand right in front of the ball.
See an attack by the Knights. Oh, that should be a foul. There is a blatant push in the back.
Yeah, and he came.
Yellow card.
Yeah, and because he came from behind on an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, he's definitely going to get a card on that.
And
he didn't get enough of the ball.
Getting up, trying to walk it all off.
And now the Knights have just as dangerous of a free kick. This is basically a better angle than the previous goal that was scored. So whoever's taking this, you're going to see him line up right on the near post, hopefully. And then the goalie's covering the far post. So that's what happened on the first goal. Is he sneaks that in right on the near post there.
Munoz now is lining up to take it.
And I bet they're shooting this. You're not gonna put that over.
See conversation there between Munoz and Ramirez.
And they've played together a lot, so they've had that conversation before.
Ball set now.
Yep, and see the goalie read that one you could tell they were shooting that from a mile away. That's going to be an easy save because they didn't even look to the other side. So you knew they were shooting that, which is why he gives them the post originally, but then once they go up to take it, he steps over.
Yeah, you could tell that he was already inching closer and closer.
He was leaning the other way to give the perception that he was going to cover far post, but he knew that was a shot, and he definitely played it.
But it's good to see the Knights really attacking, trying to manufacture something going toward goal.
Yeah, getting their shot on goal there, and that's what you want is you got to test that keeper.
Well, and the play of Eastern Mennonite, maybe it could start to fall into the hands of the Knights as you get closer towards the end of the game. Do you start trying to just possess the ball and not attack and score, which kind of slows you down and gets you out of your rhythm?
And it's a thin line because you want to slow down the game, you want to take the clock out, but that can get dangerous because you try to do that in your own, in the mid or maybe in the defense a little bit, not quite all the way in the defensive third, but you're going to see him probably slow the game down a little bit because that doesn't benefit. It doesn't benefit SVU at all to have the game at such a high tempo where anything could happen. So you'll see him slow it down a little bit, but it does seem they're still attacking pretty well.
Well, what I'd like to see is Carlos step up and take a little bit more ownership in the middle of the field. We know what he can do. We've seen him be able to distribute and score. He's a multi-talented player. I know he's trying to work within the team concept, but with that type of leadership and experience, playing against all the teams that the Knights have played in the last 4 years, and here's an attack going down the far sideline for the Knights.
Someone, and it goes all the way across the face of goal, but it's just a little high. I'm not sure if he was. Just got too much of that, I think, because he definitely wanted that a little lower so someone could get on that.
Quick throw in by the Royals. See the Knights pushing up, trying to keep it on this end, and it will go over to the Knights. Like I said, I'd like to see Carlos a little bit more involved.
Yeah, and it's not just Carlos, too. I'd like to see there's a gap in their midfield where they seem to possess it in the attacking third and in the defensive third, but in the middle – right, in the heart of the game, you want to hold that kind of possession too, and I think that's where they're struggling is right in the midfield. They're finding a gap between their defense and their attack, and if you can transition that with all of your midfielders, Carlos being one of them, but they have a bunch of others that can possess that through, but they keep just playing that 20 or 30-yard ball, and so it basically goes over their mid and tries to just jump all the way into attack, and that's going to be a tough gap.
And like I said, you want to build up, right?
You do.
You want a possession to lead to another possession, to lead to another possession, and make the defense move. Knights are calling for offsides, and looks like they're going to get it as a number 24 for the Royals. Daniel Abor was a little bit offsides.
See, and that's that short goal kick that SVU is trying. Is they play that short, they keep possession, and he made it almost to the 40. He made it 30 yards up before too many people were there, and so then he plays a long ball, and he was offsides, but That's that short kick to try to retain possession on the goal kicks there.
So the Knights tried a long throw in. The Royals were able to kick it off one of the Knights. Looked like that was number 18, Brandon Zapata, that got the ball kicked off it. The Royals retain possession. And we'll have a goal kick now for the Royals. Again, in the first half, I need to apologize. Just I had a lapse of memory. I called the Royals the Monarchs. I apologize to any of the Royals fans that are listening. We do have a problem also with the score clock on our broadcast now. The Royals do lead the Knights 1-0. We're at 37-20 in the second half, counting down. Juan Luna with a great shot at the 9-minute mark to get the Royals the lead. Little miss hit by the Royals. The Knights should be able to step up and take possession here.
So now he's got to find someone to pass to already. He can't wait this long, get 2-3 guys on. Oh, definitely. You're seeing some more physical play. Even after the whistle there, you're going to get a little bit of chippiness, and you can see sometimes when you're down like this, it can get into your head, and you think maybe if you hit this guy a little harder or something that it's going to, affect the game, but it's not always in a positive way.
Another free kick about 35, 40 yards away from the goal. Toward the
Ooh,
header.
It got a head on it, but I'm
think
not
they're
sure.
a little bit too far away for that.
I think he also didn't think it was going to get through to him, and so because there was 2 defenders that went through there, and he didn't swing his head too much. He just kind of let it hit it, and so I don't think he thought that was going to get to that. But it was a decent cross in there, and definitely a great effort to get to the head there. See, now this run, I mean, he's running all the way across the field, and you saw Gabe Ramirez do that a second ago, but you want to try to find those passes.
Because with the way that the physicalness of the game is, you're going to get bumped off your line, and we saw that the Knights lost possession there because of that.
That's exactly what's happening there. Not sure.
Tried to flick it back to someone that he thought was coming behind him.
I'm not sure if he thought someone was behind him or if he was trying to flick it over or.
Well, again, it's just that lack of
experience
with each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
There we go. First time we've seen almost a switch of the fields there.
That was, saw a couple in defense in the first half. Oh, if
nice
he can.
Job. Oh, and maybe a little bit dangerous play there. Jumping and the foot gets up around the head there.
Sometimes, as a defender, you're better off to use your foot, and so you try to, get that up and out of there. But then as an attacker, you want to use your chest or your head to try to push it forward, and so there's a bit of a conflict of interest on those, and so sometimes you can end up with some cleat marks in pretty high places.
Well, Weeks threw the ball in.
They're looking down the line here.
Long ball down.
But you can see even down that line, they're still playing in the center of the field. They're just barely outside the 18. And so SVU is way, way out on the sidelines. But even that ball, he's curving his run in towards the goal. And that's more what you want to see.
And we were talking earlier during halftime that EMU's field's a little bit shorter, a little bit and not as wide. So they're running down what they would perceive their sidelines, right? So that keeps the ball more towards the middle.
Definitely. The SVU field is one of it's the biggest regulation field that you can have. So this is the size field that, a national team would play on or a professional team. I remember playing at EMU's field. It felt like it was 80 yards long and like 60 wide. So you could take a kick and it would end up in the opposite corner. And so you can actually see that in their play where they move their whole team back and forth. It's not just, a couple of their players. They don't have that gap. And so I actually think that might affect SVU is they're used to covering more space, whereas EMU is, they're moving their whole team up and covering that space. But SVU seems to have a gap in the midfield. And you can see all the defenders right back here, but there's maybe Carlos coming back, but then...
And where's the rest of the team,
right?
And again, humid, not hot, but humid, and it could be taking a toll on some as we see some of the subs starting to happen now. As Jaron Robledo, 'Robledo comes in. Robledo was in the first half. And again, that short little goal kick over to the side, looking to possess it. At least this time they didn't try to force it down the sideline, reverse the field.
And I actually think he was in the box for that one, but I am not sure about that one. But they're trying to connect more, and you can see their runs are being affected by that. But then right here, they all turn and run upfield, and they gotta work where they are. But you can see from about the 45 to the 35, there isn't too many Knights in there. And now you see with this counterattack, they have 4 defenders back there, but Eastern Mennonite has 4 or 5 attackers as well, and so you need your midfield to come back and give you the numbers advantage.
Well, like I said, there's just EMU right now, just more continuity. Everybody's moving together. There's no real single person saying, well, I'm going to go out and do my own thing. It's all very orchestrated.
Yeah.
And again, that comes from playing with each other for a long time.
And yeah, when you get 25, 20 new faces on the team and 20 new personalities, it
takes a little while to meld.
There's an adjustment period, and that's why the Knights had a training camp for 2 weeks. But even in those 2 weeks, you're not gonna play any other teams, and so it's hard to really get to know them.
Well, and we've seen that the Knights may be fortunate to be down only 1-0.
It's possible. They've had some attacking chances, but I don't feel like they've made the most of them. There's another shot from EMU. You see, he just takes that into the middle of the field, and then he can get that shot. And that's what the Knights haven't gotten yet, is they just take that in the middle and then have the shot. They're working this sideline. They're working outside the football lines.
There's Munoz trying to find the feet of Ramirez. We're approaching the 30-minute mark as the Knights trailed the Royals of Eastern Mennonite 1-0 on a shot by Juan Luna at the 9:15 mark in the first half. There we see Christian Rice coming back into the game. Sophomore. And again, a lot of familiar faces, but not a lot of
new faces. Yeah.
And there's a great hope right now that the Knights eventually will get to the point to where everybody's orchestrated and working in harmony and unison.
And they're hoping to, build off of this team with some of these new players. And I think they're doing a decent job of that, but there's going to be an adjustment period, and so it might result in a couple goals, but I mean, they're hoping to score just as much, so I think we'll see it.
Well, and again, once you get into a conference, the mindset of a coach totally changes.
It's going to be very different.
I mean, you want to win games, but you want to be peaking when you get to your conference season.
Yeah.
So a lot of coaches will use these early season games to really start getting and honing fine skills to get to that conference, because the ultimate goal is to get into the conference tournament. And then once that happens, then anything. You throw records out and just anything can happen.
Game by game. You see Gabe getting in on all of these plays, and he's a very physical player. And so you'll see him definitely all over the field getting in with anyone. And that's just what you see from the Knights, is they just compete. Whether they're winning or losing, they'll be competitors.
Oh, and we've seen that throughout all the teams. There's no quit in any of the Knights teams, and that's a great testament not only to the coaching staff but to the players themselves. But again, we have to get to that point where we have more people returning than we do have coming in.
Yeah.
And that's not just the soccer team. That's all our teams. And once that happens, I think you'll really see the teams here at Southern Virginia be in the upper echelon of the Capital Athletic Conference, which is one of the toughest Division III conferences in the state, in the nation, from top to bottom.
Definitely. There's some really competitive teams. Oh, and that's a great ball in on that free kick.
Knights are able to get the ball out and see if they can make a great counterattack.
Ooh. Gabe had some good vision there to try to find it, but a good defensive play.
Yeah, if he could just lofted it a little bit more up over the head, but I'm sure you don't think about anybody jumping that high to get the head on it.
Yeah, and it's hard to do in that quick counterattack where they're just going for it. And now they're pressing forward again. And that's what you want to see, is that swing across the field. Even if you go through your defense there, you can see now they've built this attack. And he's got space all the way up the line. He's got a player in the center that he can play to. And he just overcommits a little bit there, but
and earns a corner kick. But like you said, the attack and the defense by EMU right now just seems to be more orchestrated, more consistent, have better synergy than the Knights. Not saying that the Knights won't get there.
yeah.
But again, if I played with you for 4 years, we have a connection.
It's a different game, and you can put a little bit more together and get a little more complicated. Nice low-driven corner, but
Carlos was able to get his foot on that. It's counterattack now by the Knights, trying to go down that far sideline.
and this is where they rush to take that, but it's a 1-on-5. Now they have a couple numbers, and that's the shot that you want. Right before that, that's that shot. You're a little bit outside, but that's a good angle to put it on a far post.
Oh, nice ball control by the Royals, but give it away. Now we see the Knights center the ball.
Someone?
Oh,
He found his guy,
great opportunity going through there.
I mean, that's great on the offense, and then great by the defense to just push him out of the line of that ball.
And that's what if you're the Knights, you'd like to see more of that.
Right. That's what they're hoping to build. And you're hoping to build a little bit more out of that, so you maybe have more than one guy that you can hit it to. But, I mean, they'll work to that. For now, that's a great attack.
Now we're getting into about the 26-minute mark in this second half. So if you're playing chase, you're behind, do you start to feel not only just the pressure, but what are you starting to feel physically? Are you starting to get a little bit more fatigued?
Yeah, and he was offside there, so that'll be called back. But you definitely do. There's definitely you have – you know you've been down, and so even as a defender, you start being more encouraging of your outside backs or your midfielders or even your center backs occasionally to push up a little bit, and your goalie will kind of tell you, like, we need a little more attacking in these last 20 minutes, so let's push another guy up. And sometimes you start to take a little more risks. And so with that, if you get beat, it comes a little bit of extra running. Oh, and there's a risk on that, but
Keenan comes way outside.
Can they get to
and
it?
And the ball's in. And there you go, little bit of
yeah, that's
just a little bit extra there that someone's trying to do a little bit more than maybe they should actually try to.
And he was looking for a penalty there, and so he grabbed the guy, and he was looking for a penalty, but the ref's letting him play, and so you can't depend on that. So when the ref plays advantage, you still got to play. You can't just grab the guy and call the foul because he's letting you play all game. And so the next guy steps up. Even if you're holding him, the next guy steps up, and that's what you've seen from EMU is the next guy's there. The team is there. And so that's how they got that goal, was second effort.
And Keenan, made the decision. He had to come out.
Yeah.
And then once he went down on the ground, there was really nobody back there to try to stop anything. And like you said, the EMU, the Royals, they kept on coming in waves, and all they had to do was just find one foot.
And even, they had their center back in the goal right on that near post to try to get to it. But, when you can't use your hands and you're just covering it, it's a lot different. I've been there, but it's not the same. And so when your goalie's down, they know that as well. So they'll attack. But Eastern Mennonite just had a guy in the center. They just have that extra guy up. And it's because they built it a little bit more. And they have they had an overlap there, an extra runner, and then they have an extra guy in the center.
Well, the goal was scored by Parker Leap, an assist by Daniel Obora, for a 2-0 lead now. Eastern Mennonite Royals over the Southern Virginia Knights with about 24 minutes and 30 seconds left to go in the second half. Now the task has become a little bit harder.
And now it definitely weighs on you now. You start speeding up, and they start slowing down. So this is where if the Knights can score in the next, 5 minutes, then they can definitely still stay in this game. And they can score later than that, still stay in. But it really is the next 5 minutes that make a big difference, because if you get into 15 minutes down 2-0, it can start to weigh on your head, and, it builds on you, so it becomes harder and it's less to work for, you feel like.
Well, and you don't want to
Ooh,
speed
great
yourself
pass.
up too much because that opens yourself up for counterattacks, right?
And that's that risk that we were talking about is you start risking a little more, but you got to know that you're opening up your defense by sending them up there.
Well, and there we saw the Knights, again, playing that long pass down the right sideline, which is near to us now.
And Christian Rice, very fast striker, and he can hold the ball well. He's very physical as well. But in a 1v1, and when you get down there and you're the only guy, even if you get it into the center, you get a great cross, you get a low-driven, perfect cross. If there's no one there, it really doesn't matter. So if he can outrun everyone, including his own team, it doesn't really benefit him too much. They got to get more people down there.
Yeah, again, just a little bit out of sync with each other. You know, and when you put a lot of freshmen in there, yeah, you've been taught certain things through your training camp and through scrimmages, but when the pressure starts to get on, you start to revert back to what you know.
Yeah.
Right. And so now you got several people trying to do things that may not be what Coach Patino wants right now.
Exactly.
But after 2 or 3 games, we'll see those things kind of just disappear.
And you can see a basic connection between, you can tell they're looking for Christian or whoever up the sideline or in the center, and you can tell that they're looking for him because they know he's fast. But that's what you know about him, but you also got to know where to play him the ball and how to get him. You know, maybe he's better with his feet and his head. And so I think as they get to know each other better, as they play more with each other, then that connection will build. But, I mean, you can tell they're looking for him. They know he's there. But, I mean, it's a hard time on your own.
Well, a foul was on the Knights, and now you're starting to see Eastern Mennonite intentionally, unintentionally, right, start to slow down a little bit, taking that free kick
definitely
in
a
the
tactic.
first half. We saw them get that free kick and want to go right away. Now they're starting to take a deeper drop, point to people. So, you know, now the gamesmanship starts to come on about holding on to the ball.
And this is a knowledge of the game. This is a knowledge of how the game works, because you know what you can do as a player, and you know that you can take so long on certain kicks or certain throw-ins, or, you know, if the ball goes out, you can walk to it, and that takes 10, 15, 20 seconds off the clock. But you also, you know, you got to balance sportsmanship too. Yeah, you can't take a minute to just try to find the ball. Ooh.
Oh, and that went off the head, fortunately, not the face.
Yeah,
it looked like that might have been Rice.
There was a big swing and a miss, and then a big swing and a hit.
We saw Paxton Runanen check in the second half. We'll see what's going on.
A couple people stayed down there for a second.
See who the referee's talking to. He was having a conversation, looks like, with one of the Royals and one of the Knights. Maybe they probably got caught up with each other.
It looked like there was definitely some
extracurricular activity going on.
A little bit of something going on there, but
well, and now again, you're down by 2. You want to keep your head. You want to stay within the system. Yes, you want to win the games that we talked about. You're trying to build something for your conference season, and hopefully that's where Coach Patino can keep these young men headed and keep them focused on.
Right, because they are thinking about this game, but they're also thinking as a season. You know, they can work with this game, and they've had some high points this game that they can work with. And so they're thinking, you know, even though this game maybe isn't going the way that they want it to right now, they know as a season it's something to build on. And when you bring in that many freshmen and you have that new of a roster, they know they have something to build on. And so that'll be what they'll take looking forward, I think.
Well, we had Anthony Bowden come in for Christian Rice. Quick start by the Royals, trying to catch the Knights unaware.
There we go. There's that pass in the center. Now, if he can find someone before that happens.
Call that now. A little bit of shoulder into the back. I don't want to say Ramirez flopped, but I think he helped a little bit going down.
You definitely want to exaggerate a little bit, let the ref know that you definitely got hit. Gabe's very good at that. He understands the game very well. Now they're connecting some passes.
Much better passing, right?
Excellent. And that's where it leads to. Now you can get that ball down in the corner, put a little more on that, and maybe he can get to that. But you can see they had guys in the center. They worked it across through the center. And then if they can just get that last pass, they can get a good cross in or find a good angle.
Well, even if you want to attack down a certain sideline, it's always good to go away from it and then come back.
Right.
Correct? And then attack down it. Again, expand the defense. The holes will be there, and you can catch them moving.
And in soccer, you can always do that because you usually have 4 in the back, and you'll have numbers in the back. And so even if you have to drop it a little bit, even if you have to drop it 30, 40 yards, you can still work forward from that.
Counterattack now. Coming down by the Royals.
Ooh,
great job by number 5 of the Knights, Matt Deedy, able to get back and stop that. If he would have missed on that attempt,
he
it
had
was a one-on-one.
He had a tough jump when the ball was bouncing. Oh, and that's an awkward play with the goalie, and that's an awkward exchange, and that's definitely a miscommunication.
And I'm sure that his heart went up into his throat, and that'll be something I'm sure the Eastern Mennonite coach will talk to him about after this game.
As a center back, when you run right past your goalie and he doesn't have the ball, and you turn around and realize that, you panic, and it is not what you want to see. So it was mishandled, but they got it out in the end.
Again, the Royals possess the ball. And we're starting to see, like you said, the Knights are starting to take a few more chances.
Oh, and it's a late foot up, and so he's going for the ball there, but the defender's going to run right into that, and so he's just going to swing him onto the ground basically. It looks really bad, but can be legal.
Looks like Mennonite will possess the ball again. Tries to clear it down the far sideline.
See, and this is a free possession for the Knights now, so they just got the ball for nothing. See, and you just can't give it away like that. That's what they're doing, is you got to find someone nice and close. You got to have your outside backs or your wings pull back so you can find someone. That 20-yard ball up is a free possession that they wasted.
Again, giving it right back after Bueno did a great job of taking the ball away. Just lost his footing there.
Ooh.
Shot going across the face of the goal. Oh, very dangerous, right?
And and they have 2 people in the center. It was a misdirection from some of the passing there, but that's still a dangerous attack, and that's what they've been working on.
Well, also in the picture we see Matthew Jones that has come in. Number 23, Brody Rogers has come in. So a lot of subs in for the Knights now.
And I'm sure Coach Patino's wanting to see from his new players what they're bringing to the field, because sometimes some of those kids can just have that spark that you need to get some offense and also push you forward to the next game.
See, Matthew Jones has come in for Carlos Munoz for Eastern Mennonite. Caleb Lesrado comes in for Parker Leaps, and Caleb Oakes in for Nick Tucker. Again, trying to go way down the sideline. In Eastern Mennonite's able to flick the ball out of bounds, cause a throw in by the Knights. And every time the Royals do that, their defense gets back.
They move as a team. You can tell that they've spent some time working together because they move their whole team back, their midfield and their defenders.
Well, there we see number 8 again, Austin Bueno, all over the place.
He's definitely been all over that mid. He's been a great defensive asset for him, I feel like, but he's also provided some great physical attacks there. And that's a hard ball to get to out there.
Throw in for the Knights. They do it quickly. Look to attack down the far sideline, bringing it back to the middle, but 1 against 3.
Yeah, they have to find a pass there. Even if it means dropping it back, it's better to keep the ball. And so they got to, swing it around just like they're doing here. This is great. You take it easy. That's what you want to see. Now he needs to find a midfielder. I just took a little too long on the ball, and that's not something Coach Patino is going to like, having done that before. I definitely did that a couple of times, usually in the center. But you want to give it up before that so that they don't get that possession. But you can see even there, you play it back to Keenan, and then you swing it back around the other side and try to get another attack. Now, it didn't work out for him, but that's still something that you want to see from your team.
Well, and we've seen some things that we really liked from the Knights. I mean, they're starting to put together some better passes. They're possessed the ball a lot better than they did. Oh, in the first half.
Great save by Keenan. Yeah. Great dive to get down on it. That's an open shot. That's a 1v1 from 18 or 15 yards out. and that's a great save.
It looks like Bailey Larson gave up on the play because he thought the Eastern Mennonite player was offsides. As a defender, did you ever just give up on a play?
You put your hand up, you look at the ref, but you're always moving back. And sometimes it's not as fast as you should. You should always sprint to that and get back because you never know if the ref's going to call it. And that's what happened on the second goal. But, sometimes even if they don't get called. And so you play it until the whistle. Just like in any sport, you play until the whistle's called because you can't control that. And it did look like he gave up a little bit beforehand. But luckily, Keenan, he's a very physical goalie, and so he'll come out and just take that out like he did there, which was a great save.
And there we saw the Knights get the ball to the middle, but again, trying to go against two players instead of making that extra pass.
He had a 3-on-1. He has some great footwork in there. Yeah. I mean, that's some great footwork to keep the ball in, but a 3-on-1, you're not going to come out with that too often. And so he's got to have someone open up for him. And that does come, it's talking, but it's also keeping your eyes up. It's hard to do that many moves and then find someone if you didn't know where they were beforehand. So people have got to let him know where they are, and then he can find them. I'm sure he can get the pass there, but.
Well, plus the Knights are looking into the scoreboard now. They see the time going down. We're at 13 minutes and about 45 seconds to go. So now people are going to start maybe saying, well, I need to do a little bit extra. And that, again, in a team sport is something that you don't want to do because you start to break formation and open yourself up for any type of counterattacks.
There is a level of individuality that you want in your team, you want in your sport. And you're going to see that, but you also need to remember it is a team sport. And so right here, they're stringing some passes together. They switch fields. They space it out. There we go. Work it back into the center. Find another midfielder. He's not open. You play it to the defense. And then you just work it up. So they're doing a great job there. If they can keep this going, that's what you want to see, stringing it back and forth.
They're learning as they go along. Again, practice is great. You get to learn. You get to get some great cardio. You get to figure out what the coach wants. But it's nothing like playing in a game, right? So they're getting some great experience now. And from the first half to what we just saw, they went from one side of the field to the and then back. That is some great passing. And if they come out and start doing that at the beginning of the game, we're going to see some different outcome.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what you wanted to see. So now Eastern Mennonite is going to just take their time here because they don't have any reason to keep pushing. So the Knights need to attack that quickly to make them choose. See, it's a free possession there. They gave away to the Knights, but they didn't complete the pass there, and so you got to start all over. So here you go. Now you got to find a mid. That's the gap they've been having, is trying to get from either that center back or outside back to connect with their mids. Now they're keeping them in the center in a triangle. So if they can rotate that triangle and open someone up, you can hit that. But
well, that looked like a hit from Sam Horman from last year, right?
It could have been. You get that leg up there. You got long legs in the center back. You can definitely stick a toe in there and get to it.
And some of that hip action goes on there.
There's definitely a little bit of that in the defense. It's important, but
we've had some subs for the Knights. We have Brandon Zapata in from Tyler McElwee. We have Merritt Weeks in for Anthony Bowden. And it looks like number 16, Aldris Simmons, is going out. I couldn't see which number it came in from. We'll get that for you in just a second as play starts up again. And looks like the Royals are on the attack again.
They are, and the defenders are slowing up the strikers, but they're not getting the ball. And so, Keenan can come out and get the ball there, but you want to see the defenders not just slow them down or look for a foul or impede them, but, you got to stay with them. They had two different defenders there push that striker, but he just keeps going.
You had Aldous Simmons come in for Nick Francis. So, again, a lot of new people in. Getting a lot of great experience.
Definitely.
Here we see the ball being played back to Keenan. Keenan's trying to reverse fields. Again, I think the Knights have made great strides since the first half.
They definitely have.
So we'll see on Saturday how they come out and play. And if they start playing like this, possessing the ball, reversing fields, keeping the passes, and maybe trying not to skip over their midfielders
Right.
so much.
And you can see them doing it right here. They're working through their midfielders. Even they're just midfielders are passing back and forth and then working a little bit up. They've worked their way from the 30 to the 50. Even though they lose the possession there, you want to find a pass a little quicker than that. But you can see they're starting. They're starting to build it. And that's what you want to see from them.
No, and if they can take the same amount of leaps and bounds as far as coming together as a team in the next 3 or 4 games, I'm very confident that once they hit the Capital Athletic Conference season, they'll come in a little bit better than what they were voted to be, which is 10th out of the 10 teams.
They definitely in the coaches poll they weren't voted to get very high, but you can see them building on all these little things, and you can see they just have moments where things just work for them. And as long as they keep building on those and keep getting more and more of those, that's going to be a foul, definitely. Pulled that ball in. And you can see a little bit of chippiness coming from all the players there. That's going to be.
And that's not what we're under 10 minutes. We're down to 9 minutes to go. You know, we saw this a little bit in last year in the women's first game against Bridgewater, where the referees let them play and play and play, and then in the last 5 minutes we saw Rachel Miller go out with a lacerated kidney. We saw one of the Bridgewater players go out with a broken arm.
And that's going to be,
that's another foul.
It's a rough slide tackle in, and then you have another defender come and get a piece of that too. And so, see, this is a great free kick opportunity. If they can put this one in, they're back in this game, and then they have 8 minutes and 40 seconds to get another goal, and that's totally possible. From this position, this is basically where the goal in the first half was scored. A little bit farther downfield, deeper in the corner, but this is a very dangerous free kick if someone can get their head on that.
Tries to flick it into the middle and off the upright of the
That's just
football field goal.
That's one of the soccer players' worst nightmares is just all you have to do is keep it on the ground and put it in the net, and he just lifted it right up over it. And that's exactly what you want to see from the Knights, aside from the end finish there, is you want to see him play that ball in. And it made it through the defense, and they had the first touch. They had the only touch on it. And so that's every opportunity to score there. They had every reason to score there. They just put it a little high up into the field goal post.
Long play down the field, counterattack by the Royals.
Dangerous position for a shot there.
Still possessing the ball. Off of the side of the net.
See, and you can tell they're even on their counterattack. They have, they all get upfield. And so you see he loses the ball. He gets spun out by a defender. But then their next guy's there. Their next guy's there to step up. And they started on the left side, but they ended up shooting from the right. And so you can tell, they stayed within the 18 the whole time. And that's what you want to see. But I feel like the Knights just keep their game so spread out that they're covering more ground. And I'm sure that accounts for why they're a little more tired, because they're just running more, even with the subs.
Well, with 7 minutes left to go in the game, the Royals of Eastern Mennonite have a 2-goal lead, 2-0 on the Knights. We have seen better play by the Knights in the second half. Again, you're looking at trying to take a team that has a lot of new faces on it. The first half a little bit choppy.
Mm-hmm.
Second half a little bit more continuity coming in.
Definitely.
And I know that Coach Patino won't be happy if they lose with the
No,
loss.
he definitely will not be.
But he'll be a little bit happy with the progression that he's seen from the first half to the second half.
You can definitely hope for that. And he definitely is a coach that does not like to lose. And I know that none of his players do either. But he definitely he does not appreciate that. Having been there a couple times, about 16, we know that he does not like to lose, but he does like to build.
Here we go with a counterattack now by the Knights, and a great opportunity.
They got the number. Ooh.
And just a little bit more pace on the ball. May have been able to slide it by that defender.
You can tell they're definitely. Ooh. He was a bit late on that, but they're going to let that one go.
Corner kick now. And
I'm sure they're going to bring up some numbers here. They're definitely bringing up all their height and all their numbers.
So now, if they try to go toward the goal, do you expect the goalkeeper to try to punch it out or go for the catch?
It depends on where it is, but he's staying in his box for now. Oh, and see, that's again, the Knights are the first to that. They had every opportunity, but they skied it. They put too much under it, and they didn't get it down.
Really didn't flick his head toward the goal, right?
And part of that is it was a bit, over the top, but he can also reposition just a little bit and get that way more direct. But again, that's a great thing. That's what you want to see is you get to the ball first.
There you see Keenan Carroll getting over to stop the ball, not letting it get past him to eat up valuable seconds. Under 5 minutes to play now.
Yeah, and you can see the Knights defense just holding back a little bit. They definitely seem tired. You can see some calf stretching and different things, and got a break for some substitutions here.
And smart play by the Royals, right?
It takes time off the clock.
Just a few seconds, but those few seconds add up each time. 2-goal lead for the Royals with 4 minutes and about 30 seconds left to go in this game.
And now you're going to see him swinging in the back, and this is going to take a good 15, 20 seconds off the clock. And he'll play that right back. And you can only see, 2 or 3 Knights pressing up, and that's okay, but they got to get the possession here and bring it back down. There we go. That's what you want to see right there.
Well, when does – I know panic mode's already stepped in, but when does real panic mode start?
Well, this is when you start to see some attitudes on different things is on these type of fouls. Now you're going to see him loft it in. And I don't think they're not going to panic too much because you know how the game's gone and you want to try to win, but you got to earn your goals. And so I think they're not going to panic just yet, but they are going to start pushing a lot more. Just a jumble of bodies in there. That's going to be hard for anyone to get.
Ball stays in bounds. Nice job. Good hard drive.
That's a rough angle, but I mean, a great shot in there. I believe he was just trying to put that in.
May have been Roonen that took that shot. Got a substitution coming in. Number 6, Jackson Farnsworth comes in. Going to take the corner kick.
He'll be taking the corner.
Attack with that left foot now.
It's a great angle in there if he can get that in.
Drives it low toward the middle.
And that looks like something they've tried to draw up on the practice field because you can see they had a player in position to receive that. But, again, I don't think that had the power that they were looking for. But he gets the ball back. That's what you want to see. Is even though it didn't work out, he gets the ball back and works it back up.
Again, Knights pushing a lot of people up into the offensive end, trying to find that first elusive goal.
And with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, they're definitely going to try to go for one here.
Free kick. 35 yards out.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try to loft this back post.
Farnsworth to take the free kick again.
There we go. That's
to
good.
The back post, off the head, just not able to get enough flick going backwards.
Oh, and that's going to be another
push
free
to the
kick.
Back. Yep.
They're getting plenty of these opportunities, but they got to capitalize on a couple of them. They've had plenty of shots for it, but they just got to finish it. Now, if he calls for 10 yards here, that stops the clock and allows everyone to set up. He has asked for 10, so the ref's going to come measure him off. It's a great opportunity.
See what the Knights try to do. Drive it low.
That's a great chance. That's definitely something that they've drawn up, that they've practiced. You can tell. And you could tell that definitely EMU affected that because they realized that he was in an offside position, so they pulled their defense back. So he may have been in a different position that they drew that up in, and that may have affected it because it was a great play.
Defense of the Knights are really pushing up, trying to gain possession as the clock's down to 1 minute and 20 seconds left in this game.
Ooh, and a great shield there by the striker. Try to pull it his direction. And you're going to see, now they kind of know how the game's going to turn out. So they're going to start to get a little chippy, I think, if we see some attitudes. But hopefully we won't see too much of that.
Free kick now by the Knights with 1 minute left. Eastern Mennonite University 2, Southern Virginia nothing. Ball swung to the far sideline. Trying to get it ball back to the middle off of a EMU defender. Long throw in down that far sideline.
A little too much handwork there. He's definitely pushing him and pulling him, and refs starting to realize that they're getting chippy, and so he's going to start calling things a little bit closer.
So now Eastern Mennonite with the free kick with about 20 seconds left to go. Send it deep down the field. The Knights looking to attack now. Play the ball through.
Too far.
Goalkeeper Overker comes out and boots the ball away. Just going to let the ball go out of bounds. And there's the horn. Eastern Mennonite beats Southern Virginia 2-0. We did see some improvement of play from the first half to the second half. So, Sam, what did you like over the course of the game, and what's one thing that you would hope to see the Knights work to improve on?
They're going to focus on their midfield. Their midfield was honestly kind of absent in this game. They possessed it a few times across the middle and a few times up and down, but you could see Eastern Mennonites was just all over the field. And you could see the effort from the Knights, but the teamwork, the connection, the continuity of play, it was hard. They kept trying to, they saw that run up the line, and you see it, and you get excited, so you try to land it there, but they need to work it through their midfield a little bit more, and that's not just forward, they need to work it back as well. They need to just keep the continuous play, and I think that's where they got beat. And also, in the attack, they need that extra man. That's definitely where, it's how the second goal was scored, was just keep that extra man in there, because it wasn't the first or second guy that scored. It was the third guy that came in and put that in from the right side. The first attack was on the left, second was just on the right, and the third was at that angle from the right side. And so I think that's something the Knights will focus on, is everybody plays. And that was a big team motto last year, was, everybody plays. Everybody plays defense, everybody plays offense. And so I think that's where they got beat tonight. I think that's how they gave up their goals. But I think moving forward, there was things that they can build on. Their defense possessed it pretty well in the back. They could swing it across. You saw that a couple times. They'd work it up. Their strikers, I think, just need to work on the possession a little bit with their mids. And I think you'll see them work it all the way up the field, in a couple games.
Well, we'll recap of the scoring. At the 9:15 mark, Eastern Mennonites Juan Luna scored for the Royals, and then at the 64-28 mark, Parker Leap scored on an assist by Daniel Obur. Some of the stats: shots taken, Southern Virginia had 10, Eastern Mennonite had 9. Shots on goal, even 5-5. Saves, Southern Virginia had 3 saves. Eastern Mennonite had 5. Corner kicks, Southern Virginia had 3. The Royals had 2. So we're looking at some of the stats. Very even game, except for the 2 goals that were scored, and really that's all that really matters.
Right, and you can see Southern Virginia had their chances. I mean, the Royals gave up 19 fouls. They had 19 fouls against them, and so if each one of those is a free kick, and there was a lot in the last 5 minutes that they definitely could have gotten to, at least 3 or 4. They got those shots on goal or just barely to the sides. And, Southern Virginia only had 8 fouls against them, but, the Royals just capitalized on those. And I think that was the biggest difference. That's where the goals came from.
Well, the next game the Knights will play will be here on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Sam won't be with us that day. He'll be traveling with the football team, as he's just been recruited by them to be put on the team as a place kicker. So we wish you good luck. We know you're going to go all the way to Earlham, which is in Indiana. Well, good luck with that. Score a bunch of points.
I'll try my best.
And then
3
hopefully
at a time.
by the next men's soccer broadcast, you'll be back. Again, please join us on Saturday for the next broadcast here at Southern Virginia. SVU men's soccer team will be playing. We'll be at 1 o'clock. Thank you, Sam, for joining us. This is Mike Harmon signing off from the fields at Southern Virginia University.